Hey everybody, and welcome to another episode of Book HQ. So today I'm going to be talking about The Darkest Minds, which is the first book in the Darkest Minds series by the New York Times bestselling author Alexandra Bracken. So The Darkest Minds follows Ruby, who's called Rue throughout the book, and she has a power that she can't really control, and it's basically a dystopian future novel series, YA. I kind of had a tough time with dystopian future because I kind of find it hard to see that future and like imagine it, so it seems kind of unreal to me. But this series is very different in that when you read it, it's written in such a way that it could possibly be a future that's not so far away. Ruby is this young girl and she lives with her parents, and then there's a girl in her class called Grace who just drops and dies one day, and then the government then has to explain this because this has happened to quite a couple of kids around the country in the US. So the government explains it as IAAN, which is a neuropathic disorder, and they offer to help these kids by taking the kids from the parents, because the kids who don't die from it develop abilities like technopaths, control minds, control fire. So Ruby doesn't really know that she is one, and one night in her home, after there's like a heated family argument, she kisses her parents goodnight, and the next day her parents don't know who she is. So they call the police, and the police come and they take her, and she's taken to one of these rehabilitation camps, which is run by the government, where they're supposedly helping the kids get better. But actually they're not. They're experimenting on them, they're using them as free labor, they're torturing them, it's terrible. The government also has put in place what they call skip tracers, who are people who catch these kids with the freak abilities who have avoided getting into the rehabilitation camp system. Ruby's there, she has this friend called Sam, she's there for like 5-6 years. The friendship with Sam helps her make it through that terrible time, but then something terrible happens to Sam. And I guess because of all the emotion, she touches Sam and erases accidentally all of Sam's memory of their friendship. So it's a tough time for her after that, because now her coping mechanism, which was Sam, basically is gone. So then there are these volunteer doctors who are coming in to help examine the children, and one of them's name is Kate, and Kate is an undercover agent from this league, which is supposed to be fighting for the rights of these children, and Kate helps Rue escape. So Rue escapes with Kate. Rue accidentally sees into Kate's mind. Kate takes her to a rendezvous point to meet with her boyfriend called Rob. Rue accidentally sees into Rob's mind and sees that Rob actually is murderous and has murdered kids like her. And so Rue bolts, she leaves them. She bumps into a little girl who's a technopath called Zu. And one thing leads to another, so she ends up going with Zu and finding out that Zu is traveling with two other kids with freak abilities like her, who are slightly older. There are two boys called Liam and Chubbs. Chubbs is Charlie. So they end up traveling together and, you know, running from skip tracers and getting to know each other. And then, so there's this rumor that there's a place where children with the freak abilities can live their own lives, self-determining lives in peace, free from the skip tracers and free from the government. And it's called East River, and you need to find the slip kid in order to find East River. That's what they are trying to do. What we end up finding out is that the president, who's President Gray, he's basically a dictator, and he's dissolved parliament, and he's decided that he's going to stay in office past his 2 terms until the problem of the kids with the abilities is solved. And it turns out that his son Clancy was one of these kids who had abilities, and he sent Clancy to the very same rehabilitation camp that Rue has escaped from, and apparently Clancy was rehabilitated, and Clancy goes out and goes to meetings that are trying to, I guess, garner support for these rehabilitation camps, and they tout him around as their mascot of hey, look at this, he is a prime example of how great our rehabilitation camps are working. So then the kids end up finding East River, and they end up finding out that the slip kid is Clancy, is the president's son. I didn't mention this. I should have mentioned this. Clancy Gray, the slip kid, is an orange like Rue. He has the same powers as Rue. He's not rehabilitated at all. And unlike Rue, he's actually... I'm gonna not tell you because I don't want to spoil everything. They stay there for a while until they realize that there's something weird about this camp and how everything works in the camp. It kind of feels a lot like the rehabilitation camps. I mean, it seems like freedom and, you know, happiness and everything, but it's kind of the same thing as the rehabilitation camps in a way. They can't leave unless Clancy says they can. So they decide to try and leave, and Clancy stops them, and then they get raided by these government agents called the PSF agents who burn everything, scatter all the kids. Clancy gets away. Rue and Chubbs are together, hiding under a dock in the river. They don't know what's happened to Liam. Suzume, fortunately, had left before this PSF raid happened. So they stay to try and find Liam. They find Liam. And then it's a long sort of backstory of how Liam and Chubbs and Suzume broke out from their camp. And so they're trying to deliver a letter to the fourth person who was with them who died during that breakout. And they go to his father to give the father the letter that boy, Jack, his name, had written for his father. His father shoots Chubbs, and then Rue then is forced to have to get help from the League that she ran away from, Kate. So the League comes. They help Chubbs. They take Rue and Liam back. And Liam actually has a history with the League. He's been with them before. He ran away from them. His brother is a senior League agent, Cole. Anyway, so they're there, and Rue decides that she will stay with them at the League if they let Liam go. But Liam is not ever going to go because he's madly in love with her. So Rue deletes all memory of herself from his mind. And then he goes. And so she stays. And that's how the book ends. So personally, I really enjoyed the book. It's extremely compelling. The only thing I would say is that, like, Rue is extremely unkind to herself. She takes self-deprecation to incredible new heights, and it's really, like, I don't fully understand where it comes from, like, why the self-hatred. She's really unkind to herself. And I also kind of didn't agree with her decision to take Liam's memories so that he could be free and he could go and find his family and live his life without the burden of having to look after her and etc. I didn't agree with that because, like, she doesn't have the right to decide that for him, and she took away his choice, and I wasn't happy about that. It's a really good book. I read then the next book, which is Never Fade, and right now I'm finishing up the third book, which is In the Afterlight. So I'm gonna do some videos about those later on. The movie, The Darkest Minds, came out in the last couple of days. The initial release date was August 2nd. I'm gonna watch it, and then I'm gonna do another video where I'm gonna look at a kind of comparison between the book and the movie, because you know I like to do that. So that's The Darkest Minds by Alexandra Bracken. I wanted to do like a quick giveaway because my last video was on the book by Patrick Rothfuss, The Name of the Wind. Leave me a comment in the comments below and stand a chance to win an audiobook version. Like the channel. There's lots of interesting bookish stuff happening on this channel, and click the bell so that you can be notified every time I upload a new video. But until next time, keep reading and keep watching. Bye-bye.